See, so terrific. Well, thank you all. Happy New Year, everyone. Hard, hard to believe it's 2026. And we're glad you found us here at our new home at the Mizell Center. So we'll be here going forward. And also for all of 2026, the Positive Life program is going to be generously sponsored by Jim Albright and Tom Peterson. So we're very grateful to them for sponsoring Positive Life. Let's see, was there anything else? Oh, I wanted to let you know upcoming events will be the Self-Advocacy Conference. We'll have our second Self-Advocacy Conference on April 14th here at Mizell. 4th, I'm sorry, April 4th. See why we have people here to correct me. So be on the lookout for that. We're excited to do that again. And we'll keep you posted of the other events later in the year. We'll be doing the Women's Conference. Still can't hear? Is this any better?
No, they can hear.
Okay. Oh, it's not slower and louder. Okay. Okay. And that's it for my announcements. And Jim is going to has put together the program for tonight, so he'll be announcing our speakers. So thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. How's that? Dude, just got to get in here and talk to it. So before I announce our speakers tonight, I want to have a Facebook group called the HIV Village Palm Springs. And we're up to 219 members now, which is great. And basically what it is a closed private group. So you have to request to join, and then we let you into the group. And we basically post all the latest HIV meds information, services in the Coachella Valley, articles that are interesting to people with HIV, and just general information to help support the community. So if you haven't joined, these cards are over on the piano on your way out, please grab one, scan the QR code on the back, and sign up. We'd love to have you in the group. So tonight we're very happy to have our speakers. We have Arthur Press, who's the founder of Get Cyber Aware, and Gustavo Arza, lieutenant with the Palm Springs Department, and Brooklyn Edney, who's a detective with the Palm Springs Police Department. And the presentation tonight is elder abuse in you. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Arthur in just 1 second. We also have the back at a table at the front is Mishka Kennedy with Inland County's Legal Services. They provide free civil legal services for people in Riverside County and San Bernardino County. They're a nonprofit, but if you ever need legal services for a civil matter, they're the people you want to go to. They have a table with information. Please stop by and grab that. So I'll get out of your way. Arthur, thank you so much.
Is it recording? Did you hit record?
It's been recorded.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
recording, yes. Okay, so I'm used to being pretty loud, so I don't know if I'm gonna overdo the mic here. This is one of the numbers. This is why this issue is so huge. Last year, $16 billion was scammed from Americans. Let's put it, how many people here have a Whirlpool, Armana, or one of those types of dishwashers? Whirlpool earned less money than the scammers. And it's all profit. What do the scammers need? A laptop and a bunch of phones? They've almost made the amount of profit that Walmart has made. How many people here have ever known someone who's been a victim of a scam? Or look around. And this is why we want to hold these seminars. It's something that, I know, Brooklyn, you've got a stat. I don't want to steal your thunder, but last year, about every 2 or 3 days, the Palm Springs Police Department got a call for a scam. How many of you have heard of Tesla? How many of you have Teslas at work? Just don't want to admit it. Okay. In the last 5 years, Tesla, Airbnb, and Uber. I mean, if you bought these stocks, you'd be pretty happy right now. In 2014, or sorry, in 2020, the scammers made about $4 billion. What I say last year was 16. They have made more money than, this is not the stocks going up. This is the amount of revenue. So it's a huge issue. Now, how does it, I don't know if you, how many of you have heard of, what does it mean to me, Al Franken? Anybody? Okay, good. I'm with the audience. So what does that mean to everyone here? $5 billion was stolen from seniors alone. The average amount that was stolen is $19,000. And that was for everybody. For seniors, it was around 84,000. This is a huge business. So, hello, I'm Arthur Press. I've got 25 years in IT. The last bit I did in IT security, and I spent quite a few years with the Ventura County Sheriff as a volunteer. So, which means I only could eat donut holes, not real donuts, but. And why do I want to do this? I've seen too many people getting scammed. I belong to a group in LA, and what they do is they do post-recovery, but they do it for corporations. There's nobody who does post-recovery for the seniors. There's no one to teach this. When I worked for the big, huge corporations, we had massive teams. We could spend a lot of money and we could train our employees. We gave a lot of time every week. We would do some sort of phishing training, something like that. And from that, we were able to educate our public or our employees. And how we taught it was how I'm going to teach you right now. There's going to be no techie language. How many of you here don't think you're a techie at all? Okay. So everything that I'm going to be teaching is in a gray area, is using your brain. I've gotten so many times people have said, what kind of antivirus software should I buy? Or what do I need to do? Should I use a VPN? None of that really matters too much. On your desk, I've given one handout. There's one if you want to take it, I've got more on the piano. And what I'm teaching right now, I've got 30 minutes, so I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. But it's the top things that you need to remember. And it's the top things that once you start doing this, you're going to interrupt the scammer's playbook. You're basically going to be able to stop them from being able to execute their scams. So we're going to start going into this, but with the index cards, put that next to your computer, tape it up, give it to a friend, and it's easy to teach. So the first one is be wary of the urgency. We get a lot of calls when I was at Semtech where it's, oh, we have to give this purchase order to this company or they're going to cut us off. So they want to use urgency because they want to get you out of your rhythm of being able to stop and think. Be suspicious. Now, you're like, how do I know what to be suspicious about? Don't worry, I'm going to teach you that. The most important is talk to someone. And that's why I'm so grateful for Gus and Brooke to be here today. Talk to law enforcement. We get a lot of times where it's like, well, they say I stole money from a scam, or it's a romance scam, something where they get you get like a dating scam and you feel that you're guilty for maybe you caused it, you took some drugs, and then you wake up and something's missing. Oh, I don't want to call the police because they might arrest me. What we want to do is just have you talk to somebody. We'll go more into that, and the lieutenant and the detective will talk about that too. So the 3 golden rules. Be wary of the urgency. What scammers use is they know how to get into the mind of people, and they know how to push. So one of them is your account is going to be closed in 45 minutes. You get some sort of countdown of you need to pay us now or we'll be dispatching law enforcement. One of the things that we're seeing now, we're not really certain why they are using this, is they are saying, I'm with the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission, it's, but I think somehow they think that, oh, it's a commitment. They don't really know, they deal with trade. And it's, if you don't do this, I'm going to dispatch one of the FTC agents to you. It's like, but that works with people when they get in a scared state. A lot of times what they do is they put, like I said, scary language in there. We're going to call the FBI. We're going to call the FTC. And how do you interrupt this? Whenever you get a phone call, I'm sure you've gotten a phone call before. How do you hang up on that? You just hit the red button. That's what I want you to do. If you feel, well, I don't want to say anything, the most effective way is one phrase. If they ask you to start, it's, oh, I need you to give me, $400 or I need money, is I don't make financial decisions over the phone. And that will cut it down. When they do dispatch the police, or they say, we're going to dispatch the police unless you pay us in gift cards, that's another red flag. So the most effective tool to break this is to say goodbye and then hang up. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, please let me know. All I prefer is just to wait until the end of my slide. And then if you have any questions for myself or any of the officers, we can field them at that time. So, are there any questions so far? Nope. Okay. Be suspicious. So there are, that's it. Okay. There's 3 red flags that if you ever hear them, is going to be an immediate signal in your brain that I want you to stop. I want you to stop going to the bank, stop going to, a lot of times they ask you to go to CVS to get gift cards. These red flags should be that big signal that you need to pause. How do scammers do this? They send you an email and they say, and I'm going to go through the scams here in a little bit. Let's say it's a tech support scam. And they say, your computer's infected. What we are seeing this so much is child porn, pornography sites where they say, we have access to your computer. Your computer has been accessing sites that, I'm sure you don't want your friends to know about. And what they do is they say, we found child porn on your site. We found illegal Bitcoin mining or something like that. We need to get this off your computer. Please give us remote access onto your computer. That's a red flag. So why is that one of the biggest red flags is once they have that, they have it forever, unless you know how to remove it. And what they can do, and what we've seen a lot of times is they get on your they get on your computer, they put the program in, and then at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., which is, for some of these scammers, it's 2 p.m. their time, they access your computer. And once you're in somebody's computer, how many of you have autofill passwords? So you go on Google and the password's automatically there. They can take that, export that to Excel, and now they have all your passwords for all your banks. The next thing that they're going to do, the next biggest red flag is they ask you to log on to your bank. We see it where they call up, I'm from Citibank, we need to refund your money, or you've been accused of something, you need to pay us right now. And in order to pay us, we need access to your online bank. Citibank is never going to ask you to log on when they're there. They have full access into your information. What occurs when they get onto your online banking and they have remote access? What they can do is, so with websites, I'm going to show this later. With websites, I can change anything on a person's website. If you want to seem like you're an instant millionaire, you can go on B of A, and within a few mouse clicks, you can change your account balance on B of A. Now, I wish it was true where you that's the money you kept, but it shows to the other person. So when you go onto your online banking, what they can do is they can change any of your transactions and they can change your balance to seem like you've been there's money that's been deposited or money that's been extracted, and they can change anything on that. And then the biggest one is they ask you to pay in gift cards. They ask you, our newest scam that we're seeing is they ask you to go to these Bitcoin ATMs. And what they do is when you get to the Bitcoin ATM, they withdraw the money from there. With gift cards, with Bitcoin, it's virtually untrackable. And unfortunately, once the money is gone, it's gone. With wire transfers as well. The wire transfers, usually you've got a few hours, 4 to 6 hours between when you sent the wire transfer and when the bank can no longer retrieve it. And the thing with the banks is, let's say you meant to send, you didn't mean to, but the scammers ask you for $5,000 or 500 or whatever the amount is, and you send that amount to the scammers. If you call the bank, they're going to say, well, did you mean to send it to this person? Well, it's a scam. It's like, well, you sent it to this person. There's nothing that we can do. But that's why be very, very cautious. So a lot of times with these is, the IRS is going to give you a call. Amazon is going to say, we're here to process a refund. What I want you to do to break this is they're always going to claim they're from another organization, the FTC, Microsoft, Citibank. Hang up and then take your wallet out. And in the back of your credit cards, there's a phone number. Call the people on that phone number. And the first thing that you're going to say to the person is, I believe I'm a victim of fraud. That's going to take you to an entirely different department. That's all these people do all day. You might get, if you just get into the regular line, say, well, I have to send money to this person. They are slowly getting trained now to realize that this is a scam. So, once again, what did I say before when you're talking to these people? Rest, thank you. Yes, and that is the biggest thing. So hang up and then call back with an official number. One other hint is on a lot of these emails that they send you from Microsoft or from these scammers, they're going to include a phone number on the email. Don't hang up and call that number again. So we've seen that too. And this is one of the biggest ones. And I've got sources in the next slide. Talk to somebody. The biggest way that what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to isolate you. We've heard scams where they call a woman and they claim that she needs to get it's a refund scam. How a refund scam works, and I'll show this in a little bit, is you call them up and then they say, they get an email saying you're owed $250 or something, or you sent $250 in Venmo to somebody. You call up, that's not true. And they're like, okay, we'll get this refunded back to you. And then they, once again, gain remote access into your computer. They get onto your online bank. And what they do is they make a fake transfer of what looks like a transfer to you. for, instead of $250, $2,500. And it looks like on your bank, on B of A, because they have remote access into your computer, they've changed everything. It looks like you have $2,500 extra. And then what they do is they go to CVS. Thankfully, the police are, they're now, hopefully, we're getting more to like CVS and starting to train their people. CVS is where if someone comes in and is asking for $400 or $500 gift cards, what they're going to do is they're going to stay on the phone the whole time. So when they do the refund scam, they want to isolate the people. What they'll do is they will go and say, well, I've looked up a CVS in your area. I want you to go and I want you to withdraw $400 or $500 gift cards. And then they coach the person on what to say to the receptionist or the teller. And they coach them very well. We've even had times where police officers have shown up and they are talking to the police officer. I'm with Citibank. She has stolen our money. And you can hear the police officer, no, she hasn't. And they know better, but they want you isolated. So I want, maybe not right now, but maybe later tonight, what I want everyone to do is if you feel you might be a victim of a scam, or if you know someone who is a victim of a scam, this is important. I want you to do it now. I want you to write that person's name down, and I want you to call them and say, if something doesn't sound right, if I think, this may be a scam, can I call you and just run it by somebody else? Also do that for a senior in your life or somebody else that you feel might be susceptible. Because what's going to occur is when you're in the middle of that, when the person is in the middle of that fight, is the brain you kind of get, what's the word, tunnel vision. You get tunnel vision and you immediately just focus just on that phone call. But if you've got that index card with the person's phone number right there, hang up and then call that person. So Jim is going to be sending out on email this slide deck. So you don't need to write this down. So you got all the emails, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if anyone doesn't want to get spammed, that's fine. These are the top groups that you can call. The first thing that you feel, if you feel you've been scammed, call your bank. And once again, what are the magic words? I think I've been defrauded. If you're doing it for someone else, say the same thing. Local police department, Palm Springs Police, you've got the phone number is pretty available. You can call 911, you can call the local number. There's also another group called the FBI, when they've got a group, a subsection called IC3. What that is it's a reporting agency. You go in, it's helpful if you've already called the bank, and they'll give you the bank will usually give you a case number. Go in, fill this form out. This allows us and the people in the government to start tracking the number of scams, start tracking what are some newer scams that are coming out, so we can start figuring out ways to better equip you so you don't get scammed. They're also on the piano is the AARP, also has a resource. I've teamed up with them and they have a whole group that is just dedicated to this. It's a free service. You don't have to be a senior. The person who's been scammed doesn't have to be a senior, but you can call them up. They're there. I think it's 24/7. I've spoken to a few of their reps and they are very helpful. They know the latest scams. And I'm not going to guarantee they can get the money back, but at least they can start that process of not of recovery, but of at least making sure that the scam doesn't go any further. And I know there's also Riverside County Elder Abuse, and I think, and I'm blanking on her name, sorry, in the back. Misha, thank you. Okay, are there any questions on the 3 golden rules?
get around fingerprint recognition for the bank?
So the question was, can they get around a fingerprint? You mean on your computer or when?
Oh, I signed on finger.
Oh, okay. On the phone, it's a lot. They're not going to want to get, the scammers are not going to want you to get on the phone because they cannot put remote access into their, well, very easily. And so, but once you sign in on, so they're always going to try to get you on your computer. And so the best, yes, is if use your phone, just don't give the scammers that remote access. Next one.
I was just gonna say, on my computer, I have to fingerprint approve any site that I'm signing in on that remembers my password.
Okay,
I have to also verify the information with my fingerprint.
so that's local. So when you do the fingerprint on your computer, all that's doing is it's accessing the Google password database, taking that password, copying and pasting it into the website. So it's still using a regular password.
Right, but don't they have to have a fingerprint
No,
populate the password field?
once they grab your password, they can, once they go into the Google password database, they can see a list of all your passwords. They can open that up and they can read whatever the password is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they copy that to their computer and they can get in. That's only local to your computer. Now, the best way to defeat them is what's called a two-factor authentication. I don't want to get into that too much because it is kind of a little more complicated, but it's where you get sent a text message on your cell phone with a number to type in. Use that. A little bit beyond this discussion. Next one.
Is title launch insurance sales a scam?
Yes. If you own River, and here in Riverside County, they're actually really good on this, is if there is a title change, they will send you an email or a full official letter to you. So it's it's quite a bit harder for them to scam people here in Riverside County because Riverside County is pretty good on that. Other counties I can't talk to, but if there is a title change, they're always going to send it to your most recent address. And that's why you want to make sure your addresses are accurate. But I think they'll track you down if you don't pay your property taxes. They're really good on that. We've got 3 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the top 5 scams. I'm going to go through them somewhat quickly. They all hold a few things in common. And you're going to remember 2 of these. Is they're going to want remote access to your computer. They're going to want to log on to your online banking. And most importantly, of course, they all want money. So refund scam. Remember when I was discussing before? So we're going to be holding another seminar on February 24th. And I'm going to go in basically how to spot these a lot more. That's going to be held at the police station. But I'm going to give you a high-level overview real quick. So this is a refund scam. This is one that was actually emailed to me where it looks really official. They can steal Wells Fargo logo, but they made a few things that are a little bit interesting. Online payment done receipt. Interesting English. And then they made the date, so 24 July, comma. Yeah. Yep. So what I'm going to be teaching in the next seminar is how to start spotting these, how to start spotting the little mistakes that they make. Now, they're getting really good. AI is taking these and able to convert them and make it perfect. So one of the biggest red flags is they're going to put a phone number. But what have you learned tonight? You're going to take your credit card out, you're going to look at the back of the credit card, and you're going to call that number. So refund scam is going to be, it's a little bit more complicated. I kind of went over it earlier. So essentially what they do is they say, okay, we will refund you to $250. Once they do that, they're going to ask you to give them remote access, get onto your online bank, and they're gonna accidentally, quote unquote, type in $2,500. And they're gonna pretend that you have now scammed them out of $2,500 when they meant to only refund you $250. And then that's when they're gonna say, you need to go pay us in gift receipts. So. The other one is, and the Lieutenant Detective gonna be talking about this, is the authority scam, where they pretend, like we're seeing, they're coming from the Federal Trade Commission. Okay? And then this notice was generated by AI. I generated using a simple prompt, but that thing, so I think it didn't want people getting scammed. Tech support scam. This is one of the pretty more straightforward ones. You're going to get a pop-up. We've seen pop-ups. They're occurring right now a lot more of. We've found child porn on your website, or we've been knowing what you've been doing on your browser. We will be sending everyone on your contact list an email and giving them screenshots, unless you give us $250 or $500. And then this is the next one here is, let's see, demos where this is a
Hi, this is a quick alert about the grandson scam. Here's how it works. You get a call or text. Someone says,
anyways,
it's me.
So this is a grandson scam, or where he doesn't exist. His voice doesn't exist. With these scams, what they can do is when you're talking, they can be typing out on a keyboard, and it outputs a voice that sounds exactly like how they designed it. Say, I want an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old. And as they're typing, it's speaking it at the same time.
They're getting even more sophisticated. They're taking your grandkids'
Hi,
Instagram videos, the actual voice. They're cloning the actual voice, actual face, and they're sending them to grandparents.
Yep.
And
And
it's all cloned in AI, but right off of the source data that the kids provided on Instagram.
And it's really simple to do. And these websites are out there, and they're $20 a month or something. And then the last one we're seeing is the crypto scam. This is just a pure greed scam, where someone claims, oh, I can make you 250% more percent return versus what you're earning on treasury bills. Yeah. So to recap, the red flags, if you know these 3 red flags, you're going to be able to interrupt the scammer. You'll be able to interrupt what their whole speech. And are there any questions before I turn it over to the officers?
I don't know much about cryptocurrency, but I have a friend that does a lot of PayPal and computer. Is there a dollar value to a Bitcoin today? I mean,
So the question was, is there a dollar value to Bitcoin? Yes, Bitcoin, I think one Bitcoin is about 110,000. So yes, when with Bitcoin it's almost completely untraceable. So once you transfer that money, there's almost no way for the police to be able to get it back.
What about Trump?
Yes. Any of those. Okay.
It's gone before you buy it.
Okay, so I'm going to
If anyone wants a copy of Arthur's presentation, just let me know, on the piano, and find out what you want to do.
We can also post it on the website.
And we'll post it on the website, yeah.
You get it.
Hello, everybody. So I worked AV in high school, so I was able to fix the speakers. So we got 2 speakers going now. Yeah.
Police and heroes.
Yeah, appreciate that. So I was told that this was like back in the day around this time, HBO would come on at my house, and this is where it got racy, that you guys wanted a down and dirty Palm Springs version of fraud. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the crowd and some people are like, no, I just want to enjoy my cookie. So I come here talking about fraud from two different perspectives. Back in about 2009, became a property crimes investigator and worked fraud for a bit. Brooke is doing it now, so that's why she's here and she's going to do most of the talking, so it's more current stuff. But prior to that, I was also a victim. So victim of identity theft. At one point, I was trying to get a credit card and they said, hey, you're in collections. Well, somebody used my social, opened up an account up in Pittsburgh, California. I didn't know that exists. I just knew the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't know there was a place in California, but that took a little bit of cleanup. But ever since then, I kind of put an alert on my account. So it does make it a challenge if I do try to apply for credit that now I got to verify this credit application before I proceed. And then the other time, I had a credit card that was very specific. I didn't use it on a regular basis, so I almost know exactly when this happened. But one of the things you want to do regularly is check your accounts. And so I would constantly check my credit account. And all of a sudden, I noticed that the credit card was being used along gas stations along I-10, like up into Arizona. So I'm like, definitely not me. I've been here the whole time. I've been working. But I took a look at it, and my thoughts what it was is I went to the restaurant. It was off the 10 freeway down by Indio where Brooke used to work, and handed my credit card off to the individual. Well, he disappeared with it. And it's just weird interaction with the guy. Wouldn't make eye contact with me, was kind of rude, disappeared. A few minutes later comes back. Well, one of the things I knew as a fraud detective, basically scanned it, kept my profile in this reader, possibly sold a bunch of profiles to somebody else. They hold onto it for a bit. In this case, it was a few months because that was the last transaction they had on there. Next thing you know, that information was probably sold, and now it's being used on a regular basis. Fortunately, in that scenario called bank, the important thing, never give your PIN out, because if it was a debit card, if I would have said yes, they would not refund me because that's part of the contract. You're not going to share your PIN with anybody. So there's that perspective. And then the last one where it gets kind of racy. I'm going through my emails and I get a subject and it says, hey, Gus Arza, we have important information for you. So I'm like, oh, wow, they're referring to me by name on this. So open it up. It says 2-3 months ago, I hacked your computer. I took control of your internet camera, and we have some racy videos of you surfing the internet. I'm like, oh, wow, what did I do over the last few months? And it was, hey, you got to send us Bitcoin. And so a lot of the golden rules that Arthur was talking about really hit home when he kind of went over his presentation with us. So we thought it was important to kind of hit off on that. But yeah, I mean, there's different things you want to do as you proceed through your financial, with your financial investments. But the big thing is to continue to monitor your investments. So in the same respect, I'm going to call Brooke up. I'm going to be working here with her in the immediate future. That's a good segue to cut the video. So I'm currently in personnel and training, oversee the hiring of personnel. But like I said, I work fraud, and I'm going to be assigned to investigations probably in the next week. So I thought it was important to get this message out, and even discussion. This is a most requested subject that we get from the community. So as Arthur mentioned, after this meeting, we're going to start opening up similar meetings for the community on a regular basis because we think it's really important. So with that, I'll bring Brooke up and she'll talk a little bit about herself.
You want to put the golden rules up so it just stays up?
Yeah.
I think it's up at the beginning.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay? So a little bit about me. I'm Brooke Edney. I'm a detective with Palm Springs PD. I've been a detective since about September. In March, I'll be with Palm Springs for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was in Indio for 8 years. And prior to that, I was in Alaska for 3 years. So I've been an officer for a little bit over 13 years. During that time, majority of my time has been spent with children. I was a school resource officer. I was a child forensic interviewer. I've been a social media lead. I've been a PIO. So I've done a lot in my career. I'm also currently a crisis negotiator and most currently just the property crimes detective. So a lot of people ask, what are property crimes? Fraud, vandalism, shoplifting, anything that's not directly towards a person. Okay, so I don't have a PowerPoint. If you get tired of looking at me, just remember to look at the 3 golden rules, because those are what's most important out of all of this, okay? I like to do more of like a Q&A. I want to know what you guys have questions about, what you want to know, and give you some horror stories that I can tell you about that have happened here locally or in Indio, to hopefully you don't become a victim of fraud. Prior to that, let me give you a little bit of statistics. In California now, we have what's called NIVERS. It's like a California reporting system. So our crimes aren't listed as just scams, they're fraud. So when I list these statistics, a scam is also a fraud. So it's not generic to somebody stealing your credit card or somebody calling you on the phone and having you go buy gift cards, okay? In Palm Springs alone in 2025, we had 240 fraud calls. Of those, there was about 73 that were targeted towards the elderly community. Now, a lot of people don't report their fraud. So those numbers, I would say, probably aren't even accurate. There's reasons why people don't report it. Embarrassment, they don't want to say, hey, I'm the victim that lost 80 grand. The embarrassment of romantic scams. I don't want to say that, hey, I met this person on Grindr, Tinder, Sniffies, whatever's out there, and now I'm a victim. So a lot of it gets unreported. Some also gets reported directly just to FBI. That website he talked about, the IC3, it's a good one. If you're getting all these phone calls nonstop and you remembered Arthur's presentation, just hit end, don't answer. You can still go on the IC3 FBI website and just put that number in there. It's not to say they're going to investigate it. However, once they get so many numbers in there, they might start looking at it. Does that make sense? Okay, so in Palm Springs, the most common frauds that we have are identity theft. That can be from anything. That can be they got your social security number, they got your ID, and they opened up some new information. It is basically the state penal code is just using someone's personal information like names, social security numbers, or bank details for unlawful purposes. Okay. After that, obviously, we have elder abuse. To be elder abuse, you have to be 65 and older. So, and they have to know. So the thing comes into play when they're targeting these elder communities, they don't necessarily know how old the person is. So if you get a phone call and they're telling you to go buy gift cards, I can't necessarily say that's elder abuse without knowing how old you are. The suspect has to have a way of knowing. So a phone call, the camera or the computer scams, those are difficult to tell. We also have most commonly the theft of your credit cards, your debit cards. That's the most common here. And also someone who uses lies or trickery to get money. This is called basically theft of like false pretenses. This could be something as, hey, I'm going to work on your house. You pay them up in advance and they never show back up. So those are the most common specifically here to Palm Springs. Unless anybody has any questions, I'll get into some stories. So, go ahead.
Real quick,
Mhm.
how common is card skimming, like the fake card readers in this area?
I will say that me personally, I haven't dealt with it here. It was huge in Indio. Now here, unless you have more experience on that, I haven't seen it too much. But there's ways when you walk up to the little machines, I still do it because I know it's so big in Indio. It's just start pulling on it, start feeling it. If it feels, it's the old saying, if it doesn't look right, it's probably not right, and just go inside and pay.
Yeah, I mean, as when it came common, I think the common practice, I don't know, the information was out to the public, but AMPM was like notorious for getting card skimmers on there. And I would never go, I mean, they got cheaper gas there, which obviously is a benefit, but The difference now is we got those chips. So I run all my credit cards off my watch. I do the tap, and I'm not afraid to use my PIN because the way I was told, or the way I understand, it's a unique identity that communicates with the bank each time you use it. So thankfully, I haven't been defrauded since doing that. But we used to see it at the AMPMs or AMPM in town, and then off the pilot station, because there's a lot of like fraudsters. There would be skimmers. We had reports of guys sitting in cars with a computer skimming the stuff. And that's kind of like what happened in my scenario with the credit card that was stolen. A lot of that shared with some of the truckers that are now, because that's how they generate the money. If they could save money by using somebody else's money and pay for gas, that's why you see them a lot off the freeway. So those were like the pilot was a big deal, AMPM was, but I think it stopped a lot because all these banks are requiring the chips. And I don't know if Arthur could talk about it. It was like the UK was doing this. They weren't having a fraud problem. And they finally implemented in the States and we saw it drop a little bit.
So the reason Shell, or the Shell, their access into their gas pump share the same key with every single Shell station in the country. So you get a young high school kid, like somebody comes up to them, here's $100, lose the key. And they can go to every single Shell pump and open up every pump.
All right, so Palm Springs, the ones that I've had as an officer, as a detective, I mean, it's multiple. I will tell you the probably the oldest one is the go to the store and buy gift cards. We still get that to this day. I will tell you this, no law enforcement agency is going to call you and say you have a warrant for your arrest. If you don't do this, we're going to come and arrest you. There's no agency out there that'll do that. Nobody is going to call you and say that they need your banking information or they need any personal identifying information over the phone. It's very rare. If I'm interviewing somebody, I call, identify myself, and I will tell you, it doesn't offend me. Say, hey, what's the number to your police department, or Google it, call the police department and say, I'll call you right back. Let me verify you're an officer. That happens all the time, and they call my dispatch, say, hey, is Officer Edney an actual officer? Yes. And the dispatch can transfer you to me. I don't even have to call you back. They can just do it. So there's ways to protect yourself in that aspect. Let me think. Another one that is really big right now is cell phones. So cell phones, I'm not a tech person at all, but these face recognition, fingerprint recognition, there's always a way to beat it. Okay. What's happening, what I'm seeing lately is people are getting their cell phones stolen. They're going shopping or they're setting it down on one of the aisles while they grab something. Or another one is females with purses. They're leaving it like wide open in their purse, in their cart, turning around, grabbing something, and somebody snatches the cell phone. Next thing you know, what do we all have on our cell phones? Our credit cards, our Apple Pay, our Zelle accounts. Zelle is huge. Now they're taking that money, that phone, and zelling money into their own account or somebody else's account. And people think, oh, okay, because it says this name, it'll be very easy to track. It's not easy to track in any way. Another one is obviously the credit cards, those are getting stolen. They're getting duplicated and then being used at other stores. Unless that store has really good video, there's a good chance we're not going to catch them. Those are some of the bigger ones here that are just the generic ones that are happening to everybody. Okay. The more R-rated, X-rated is the romance scams. Okay. Tinder, Grindr is a big one. I'm not too familiar with them, to be honest, but we all have needs. We're all adults. We all have needs. Okay. Things happen. I get it, but let's be safe about it. People, unfortunately, on Grindr are 20 years old, 18 years old, and want to meet a nice 60, 70-year-old, and they drive all the way down to Palm Springs. Sometimes they're not even from this area, And for some reason, they're going straight to your house. And next thing you know, they're walking out with all your stuff. I've had it here, people running out of the house butt naked because they just realized they got robbed. And there was no sexual contact at all. That was apparently agreed upon. So that stuff does happen. That's another form of a scam. As they meet you that way, guarantee whatever it is, and then end up stealing stuff from your house. Or as simple as taking your mail, or you have your ID on the counter, taking your ID and then walking away and creating a new credit card for themselves. That's one I've seen. I'm dealing with one right now that isn't necessarily a romance scam, but caregivers. I don't know the full system on how you can hire a caregiver. However, I can tell you the case I'm working currently. It's a subcontract company that was referred to the victim saying, hey, this is a caregiving company. You can call them and request to hire somebody. I don't know the extent of the background checks on these people. I will tell you that my victim is elderly, and my victim, though, even though elderly, had really good edge and got a picture of the caregiver's ID, driver's license, insurance, picture of their car, everything. But this caregiver took advantage of my victim because they're elderly and thought, hey, when they're not looking, I'll just take this credit card and go buy car parts that I need. On top of that, they stole a checkbook from the house. And because my elderly victim doesn't understand all banking aspects of the 21st century, where you can just take a picture of the check and upload it, had no clue this was even happening. I'm not a person that balances a checkbook. I'm a millennial. I've never done that in my life. You asked me to do it, I couldn't even do it. And I had to explain to my victim this, who doesn't understand why the bank didn't catch a checkbook, let's say that's 1 through 100, and all of a sudden now a check for 800, the check number is 800 being cashed. He didn't understand that because that doesn't seem normal. I'm a millennial. I've ruined this because I lose my checkbooks and I just grab the next one, like, without even finishing it. So it's normal for that to happen, and I can just upload it onto my bank from my phone. So there's no video to go track it. Go ahead.
Used to base in the airport right now.
Okay.
But the post office will never send you an email or mail you. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't, he's very right. I get phone calls every single day. I get text messages, I get emails. I don't answer my phone ever. If you're not a single person in my contact, I don't answer. If you don't leave me a voicemail of who you are, I'm not calling you back. That's just my principle that I go by, because again, I'm a millennial. I like to text. So if you're calling me, you got to tell me who you are to be worthy enough for me to pick up the phone.
Right.
So I don't answer your phone. There's nothing saying you have to answer just because someone's calling you. If there's no caller ID, if there's a 1-800 number, let them leave a voicemail and then decide at that point if you want to call. The same with emails. If you get an email and it looks suspicious, if it doesn't look right, it's probably not right. The old saying, if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Go ahead.
Probably everyone here knows this, but you might get a call that says 760. But it might be from San Jose, California. And you know that San Jose, California is not 760. So that's one way to identify them.
And also, the software that, you can spoof any phone number. It's really simple. All you gotta do is say what number you're calling from. And they can seem like they're calling from the Palm Springs, the police department, and it would be the same phone number. But of course, they cannot intercept that call.
The question was about the cell phone numbers. They'll even not even say San Jose. They'll say Palm Springs. They'll say Indio. They'll say your phone number. Each phone number is registered to the city. Okay, like my phone number is registered to El Centro. So somehow they figured that out. So I will get these random phone calls that say El Centro, or they'll even say the best ones, or they'll say a name, John Smith. That doesn't sound like a scam. That sounds like somebody, because now caller ID will identify the name of the person who owns the phone. That doesn't sound like a scam. I still won't answer because I don't know John Smith. You know, go ahead.
Well, technically, they're not even calling from phones, they're calling from telephony systems. So they're just computers. There's no physical phone, they didn't press any buttons, there's auto dialers that are calling these things, they're not real phones. And so.
And the program's free.
Yeah.
And this is why they can operate, so remember my previous slide of the $16 billion that they make. In some of these countries, the internet is $10. And they just need an old computer, and that's all they need.
One second. When it comes to phone calls, if you've ever really paid attention to these scammers, and when you get the phone call and you do answer some of them, listen, as soon as you answer, you're going to hear a little beep. Like it's almost like the phone clicks on because it's a computer. It's not an actual phone. So it has to click on, hey, somebody picked up, let me click on the server. So you'll hear a little click and then there's a pause. And you're like, hello, is anybody there? And then boom, now the scammer starts. The people that aren't scams, that are calling you from police departments, calling you from banks, that you don't hear that click because it's not a computer. Now, the issue with that is there is a whole thing called Google Telephone now, and individuals can use Google Telephone to call. So it kind of resembles the same. However, you usually know who it is when they're calling. But
I have two things. One is, I remember when I moved here, because everybody knew my parents was 310. And I'm like you, I don't pick up the phone unless the person is there, right? What was happening, they were using the same exchange as my phone. And my phone starts 749. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, that must be somebody I know. It's local, got the same exchange. Off that subject, can you tell us a little bit about the physical elder abuse aspect of, like older people getting picked up in bars, getting roofied, and because that seems to be a little prevalent here in Palm Springs too. I'm not wrong, that happens frequently where, 20-year-old.
Sorry.
yeah.
Technical views.
I know that's a huge topic, but sort of speak to that.
So the question is basically about elders getting picked up in bars that are either roofied or just almost taken advantage of because of their age. So again, I just want to reiterate, elder is 65 and older. Okay, that's what determines elder abuse. Now, I personally have not seen too many elders that are getting roofied. However, they're getting targeted in the sense of it's kind of the same as anybody in a club. If you're going out there and you're flaunting your money and you're buying a shot after a shot after a shot, when everybody knows these shots are $10, $15 now for one shot, that just shows how much money you have. If you're buying rounds for everybody, it shows how much money you have. Now, I'm only 35 years old. I don't know, but I've been single before. Okay. And yeah, times get lonely, and so if you're there at the bar by yourself and you're flaunting your money, you're buying shot after shot after shot, as most people are in Palm Springs, just very, very nice, and you got this 21-year-old who doesn't have a job, doesn't go to college, does not aspire to be anything, sees this, says, hey, let me go be a friend.
Oh, you forgot the watchboard stomach.
Yeah, yes, okay. I'm not trying to be rude here, okay? I know I'm not a 10. You can ask my fiance, she'll say I'm a 10. I am not a 10, okay? I know what I can get, okay? So it's kind of the same. If you know in the mirror, hey, I'm not a 10, maybe I shouldn't, like this is clearly a 10. The washboard abs, the built biceps, they're half naked in the club. This is usually not what I'm taking home at the end of the night. There's probably something wrong. Okay. So, and then besides that,
Don't be hot.
right? Stay in your level. Okay. Clearly, I scored a 10 this time, but hey, that's abnormal, okay? Go ahead.
I was curious, Palm Springs PD has statistics on, I rarely use a cell phone and I don't use a computer. I have a landline in my house. I don't put any banking information on a cell phone. Is there statistics on how many of those scams come on a landline versus the cell phones in town?
Me personally, I don't have those statistics right now. Is there a way to even stat that? Honestly, I don't think so. Because it would take an officer identifying it in the report saying, hey, this came through a landline, this came through this, and without like, ours are just classified as fraud. So, and then if I get to the narrative that the officer write, and they say, hey, they're calling their landline, then that might be a little different, but that's not gonna be statted necessarily. Now, if there's an uptick in it, then what'll happen is us as detectives will notice like, hey, all of a sudden this week, I've gotten 5 fraud cases that are all on landlines. That's almost unheard of because not very many people have landlines anymore. Now I'm seeing an uptick in this. Okay, we might push something out saying, hey, this is what we're noticing is happening in the Palm Springs area. Same way as Harp wants you to follow them on Facebook, make sure you follow Palm Springs PD on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Yes.
Más o menos. X, sorry. Next door, and they'll put updates on there. If we're seeing a huge uptick in stuff, it'll be posted on there saying, hey, beware, be mindful of these things. Now, landlines, probably back in the day, were getting targeted. I think cell phones, though, are the ones that are out there hugely, and so that's what they're targeting.
Now they're wearing watch, the young kids are
Oh, the
wearing.
watch thing, I have my card on my watch,
Yeah.
but people are getting their watch stolen, and it's the same thing.
I just had a question because you said landline. So who do you pay your service to? I'm not-
I'm Spectrum.
Spectrum. So technically it's going through the internet. So a lot of the landlines are through the internet.
I guess a curiosity. So I should ask the chief of police then if he'd have his officers request or write that on the report. Was it a landline or a? cell
Yeah,
phone?
but in the same respect, it'll be one of those things that as Brooke's going through the cases, as she's gonna stat, but to do like a computer search on it, we won't be able to stat that. There's not really a field where we capture on the fraud part. And I mean, when you pose that question, are you trying to, I guess, are you trying to figure that out? Like, is it
My mother,
safer?
who's 92 years old,
Yeah.
don't use her cell phone and put any banking stuff in their mom.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just trying to keep her safe.
Yeah.
And I just was curious if that was, I mean, that fancy watch you have, I'm like, I had no idea that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
One of the things that hasn't been mentioned is Facebook Messenger experience. So like, for example, I think that there was a very legitimate Christmas greeting that said so-and-so has a Christmas surprise for you. I didn't click on any of them because I don't know if that's so-and-so sending me, and I'm not clicking on some blind link in any sort of feedback of social media.
The questions, social media scams and Messenger, I don't click on any links ever. If somebody sends me a link, I'll ask, hey, did you send this to me? I'll text them, you know? If it's somebody that I don't have their cell number, I don't click on it. Honestly, I just delete the message. I don't know if it's so much in this current generation, what it is on TikTok. TikTok, what's happening right now is if you hashtag on TikTok FYP, which means for your page, I believe, it's an algorithm. It'll start popping up. So if you're watching stuff in the Palm Springs area, you'll start getting TikToks. And I have had a case of this where, okay, now we're friends on TikTok because they see what you're posting, you see what they're posting. Let's follow each other. Now I'm gonna message you, and that's where I'm seeing more of that. Of here's a link. Actually, can you send me money? It's the sympathy card. Hey, I had one case. The person was like, "Hey, my car broke down," and the victim sent him $5,000. You know, helped them out, and they've never met him, but they feel bad because again, it goes back to the lonely, and we're all generally good people and want to help everybody. But if you don't know them, don't send them money. You know, I used to have a rule of if I don't know you, I'm not even adding you on my social media. Now, as time grew on and I got older and started working for Indio, I was a social media person. Everybody was adding me, and I have a lot of people that I don't know, But if they send me a message, half the time I don't even respond if I don't know you. Go ahead.
There was another thing that was going on a couple of years ago, I don't know if it's this prevalent, but I would get a text. Yeah. From a family friend who's in my address book. I would say, oh, you know, this is Dana, I'm in Uganda and I got arrested and I lost my wallet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, well, I know she travels, whatever, but, and so I started saying, like, oh, great, tell me the name of your case. You know,
Ask a security question, same as banks do, you know,
if you're asking me this stuff, I'm in trouble, and so they try to bully you, but if they don't, like, what was the street you lived on?
when it comes to social media, especially Facebook, those pages get hacked all the time. So when you start getting messages, hey, how are you? And it's a person you haven't talked to in years, or maybe you haven't talked to in months. And then, how are you? How was the family? And then it goes into, oh, well, I'm stuck here and I'm going through these hard times. I need money. Don't believe it. Go and ask them personally or call them and say, hey, are you actually in trouble? You know, and half the time they're gonna say no. I had a case in India and I'm gonna tell you, I got duped. You know, we even called out the FBI. That's how duped I got. These kids basically came in, their father was in Mexicali and they knew that he was trying to cross illegally. And they got a message. I don't know if it was somebody from Mexicali. We don't know where they came from, but they basically got a message saying, hey, your father made it, but now we're holding him ransom pretty much. And this was all through WhatsApp. If you're not familiar with WhatsApp, it's another texting application most commonly used for frauds. But it's also good for international communication. Huh? So it was all through here. And I'm telling you, I even got duped because they posted a picture. There was a guy tied up and the kids were like, that's my dad. I know that's him. And probably what happened was they got a picture from somewhere and AI generated a picture of him tied up. AI is insane, you know? So these things are happening. And then they did a voice recording as well. And the kids were like, that's my dad. And I was like, this is really happening. Like, this is my first real one, you know? And we called FBI out and they worked it all night long and it was just a scam. It was just hours later, they were able to actually talk to their dad. Some of the common ones I have with older people is what they do is they call you, hey, your grandson was arrested, your granddaughter was arrested. I need you to go to the bank right now. Do not hang up or we will kill you. Or we will kill your daughter. Like because that's scary. You hear that, you're gonna get scared. And I will tell you, not all banks will call us. In the two that I dealt with, or the three that I dealt with, were in India specifically. And it was the bank that called us and said, hey, this just doesn't seem right. Like she's on the phone, she seems nervous. But there's some banks, you know, you have those 20-year-old tellers that don't know left from right besides counting money, and they're not gonna call. They don't know, you know. And they get the money and then the first thing they do is go buy gift cards. Now they got to send a picture of the gift cards and then they never hear from the person again. You know, they're really good. Scammers are really, really good. They used to, this one that I had, they knew she drove a Jeep. They didn't specifically know where she lived, but they knew that the area she was in because they told her which bank to go to. When she left, they said, oh, we see you, don't call the cops. Even though they're not seeing her, they made her believe that they were watching her the entire time, to the point to where when I got to her at the bank, she was freaked out, was upset at me for being there because she thought her family member was going to get killed. So they are really, really good. And that's where that little red button that says end comes very handy. You know, if somebody really, really wants to talk to you, they're gonna go by every means to figure out, like, to make it legit. For instance, I'm an officer, okay? I really, really need to talk to you. And I'm calling you, you think I'm a scam, you think I'm a scam, I'm gonna call you again, I'm gonna call you again. I have a work, I'll probably text you and say, hey, this is who I am. I've also done it. I've sent a picture of myself saying, hey, look, I'm an officer. And then last resort, like if they're not, especially if they're not in Palm Springs, I'll drive to your house and say, hey, look, it's really me, you know, come out and talk to me. You know, So if somebody is legit and they want to talk to you, they're gonna find a way to talk to you because they need to go on with their lives. Same way if you owe somebody money, they're gonna send you a letter, certified letter, they're gonna send you just a regular mail. Or they're gonna set up some appointment to meet in person. It's never gonna be just on the phone, hey, give me your money, give me your bank account info. Any other questions so far?
What about digital contact? Why are we even getting calls, right?
Right.
Shouldn't there be some protections in place and you do not call back up? You know, what is that? Why is it?
Now, that's more corporations, like you were discussing, it's software programs, and they're free. All you do is you attach them to the internet, and you can bypass the,
You don't call that, it's like a block. It keeps on people from calling. You gotta know who's calling. I read something on my phone called Real Call. I think that you have Android, iOS. It group sources all the scam numbers. They don't ring them up. Because everyone who reports a scam number, it goes into a database. This app Real Call checks the database before it lets the phone call go through. I think mine are like trash calls. Yes. Just completely.
Are you paying a service fee?
I do pay a fee for it, but for me, it was worth it. I was losing an hour with stupid numbers. You know, someone who wanted to sell me a website or buy my home or you give me car insurance when at the time I wasn't even buying.
Oh, yeah.
I was at work. It was like car insurance. What do you do? But this is real. All those went away. And basically, then people who had registered phone numbers, there's a system called NDLC that you actually register. I'm a corporation. I'm using with you pay a lot of money for it. Those and like that I've seen. Everyone else, bye.
Any other questions?
Comment. You mentioned that phone calls that are not into the contacts will have to the iPhone, there's a setting that you don't turn on, not people know about it. But once you turn it on, then if the person calling you is not into the contacts, he will not have to do it.
You let it call you 3 times in a row, and then I will let it ring.
Well, I did not.
It's kind of the same as like do not disturb. You know, I'm new to the do not disturb world and it's great. I put it on at nighttime, but if you call twice, it somehow bypasses the system and goes. So where there's a will, there's a way. Kind of one thing I'm saying, but that is a good feature. I'm pretty sure Android has the same one. You just probably have to download an app to block those calls that you don't recognize. You know, but I mean, I still get phone calls from legitimate people. For instance, my department, we have so many lines. I don't have everybody's line. So I get phone calls too that I know I need to answer, you know, that aren't necessarily in my contacts. But if it looks like a scam, it's probably a scam.
For those cases, because if someone that legitimately wants to talk to you, then I let them go to voicemail, and then I'll go check voicemail. But I'm not answering any number, even someone who needs to get a hold of me that is not, I let it go voicemail, and then I'll check.
Yeah, and all good rules to live by. I mean, I do the same thing. When I'm working though, honestly, I probably answer majority of the phone calls just because I'm at work. Home, very rarely am I answering my phone. You know, it's just I don't want to be scammed. I don't want to be bothered on my time off. Very rarely I answer my phone unless you're in my contacts. Any other questions? So let's go over a little bit of safety. Okay, so if it looks like a scam, it's probably a scam. All right. I don't know of any agency nationwide that will call you and ask you to go buy a gift card. That is number one. Okay. Unless you're buying a gift card for a friend or a relative that you actually know, don't do it. Okay. This refund scam, it is a thing. I've had it. Another one is I don't know how many people in here, I would like to see a show of hands because I want to ask you what you're doing right. I don't know anybody that's gotten a $2,500, $5,000 check in the mail for no reason. So if you've gotten it and it's legit, let me know because I'm doing something wrong. But that's another one there. I've had scams where people are getting this check that looks really, really real. And what are they doing? They're putting it in their phone because they don't need to go into the bank anymore. They can just do it through their phone. And then the check bounces, but they're getting this check. And again, it goes into the refund. Hey, you owe us this much. That was an accident. You cashed it. Now they're sending the money to whoever is calling them. And that whole check bounced. There was never that money in there. You would think that the bank would catch it, that the check's gonna bounce, but my guess is probably because it's through the phone. Some banks allow you to get your money really, really fast when you do that. It's not getting checked until a day or two later. You know, that's a common one. So if you get a check in the mail, it's most likely it's not real. And I've seen them to where they're like from US Bank, from Bank of America. It's most likely not real. So don't use that. Dating apps. Tell a friend. Like I said, we all get lonely, we all have needs. If it comes down to it, my first recommendation, it doesn't need to happen at your house. Get a motel. You know, why? Because they don't need to know where you live. That's a huge safety concern. Number two, if you are gonna have somebody come to your house or you're gonna have meet up with somebody, tell a friend. You know, if you feel you don't have friends, everybody in here, I guarantee will be your friend. You know, it's just a safety friend. What do they call it? Your thunder buddy, you know, your bathroom buddy, you know. When you gotta go, you know, when you're kids, you gotta take somebody with you, right? When you're in elementary school, they make you go with somebody so you're not wandering the school by yourself. You know, so it's the same thing. Have a thunder buddy, you know, share your location. If you have iPhones, you can share your location. My fiance has my location. Half my friends have my location. Shoot, even my when I was on patrol, my dispatchers had my locations. You know, like that's just how I want to be safe. If it's not, I have nothing to hide. You know, same thing. If you don't have iPhone, there's a thing called Life 360. That one's even better. It will track your every move to the point of your turn. Just ask my fiance on a night I forgot to call her when I got home. You know, it showed her everywhere I went, you know. So it's very in detail. If you have family members you really care about, it'll even tell you if they're speeding on the freeway. It'll notify you. So these are all good things to have. You know, one of the things we talked about, Arthur and Lieutenant Arza, we talked about a safety word. You know, like have your thunder buddy. And if I text you this safety word, I need you to call the police. You know, just be wary of meeting people you don't know. Okay, that's the biggest thing I can tell you. Just be mindful. And again, remember, if we all know our capabilities, if it doesn't seem like I should score a 10 tonight, you probably shouldn't score a 10 tonight. Okay. So
a lot of times they play the long game. So it's not always in that night. It's, oh, I'm only for 2 months. I've seen them at the bar every night.
I've had the ones, the romance scams are probably the one that are going up hugely. You know, we man our airport here in Palm Springs, and so I've worked overtime there. I've had at least 3 where I've seen poor guys just standing there waiting with their flowers for the girl from another country to come in because they paid for her flight or they sent her money to pay for her flight and she never shows up. You know, and those are the stats that aren't getting reported because they're so embarrassed. And I will tell you, when my partners have gone up and talked to them, they're like, well, let me see. And they show them the girl and they're like, come on. Come on. Like, let's really talk about this for a minute, okay? You're 40, 50 years old and she's 19, 20 years old. Like, come on. So if don't send money online. You know, I had a lady who's older and she met a gentleman in another country online and he told her he was going to come visit her. He knew that her situation, you know, was going on. Her husband had passed like 3 years prior. Obviously, she's lonely and took advantage of that. you know, and started telling her, hey, I want to come see you, but I don't have money, or hey, this medical issue came up, and she probably lost over 100 grand. Just saying her money. We'll never find that guy. He's completely another. The name he gave is not real. The AI picture he created is not real. We'll never find him. And the likelihood of the bank giving you the money back is unlikely. You know, it's not often when these frauds, these scams are happening, it's not often that the bank's going to actually give you the money back, because you kind of, it's almost what we call like self-inflicted. You did this, you should have known this was a scam, but it just, at the moment, it felt right. It felt good. You know, they say everything you want to hear. As soon as you give them a little bit of info, when you're meeting on these dating websites or chat groups or whatever, you give them a little bit of info. Hey, I'm Brooke. I'm 35 years old. I'm going through a divorce, or I'm going through this, and I just lost my house, and the strings are getting pulled, you know, and then they're starting to tell you, oh, well, hey, I can help you, you know, like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's really, really sad, you know. And they start pulling at your strings, and then that's when a month later they're going to ask you for money. You know, it's not, I had like the one I had off of TikTok, they were talking for over a month. You know, the other thing too, talking about TikTok or just online, is sending pictures. Okay. You send a picture. First of all, I wouldn't send a picture if you've never met them in person. Okay. They don't want to see your abs. They don't want to see your private parts. Okay. It's extortion. They're just setting it up for extortion. Okay. And this is how it usually happens in all the cases I've worked when it comes to this. We've been talking for 3 months. The first month was great. I sent a picture, she sent a picture, except I didn't know her picture was AI. And now she's asking me for money. I felt bad. I gave her $200. A week later, now she's asking me for $2,000. I don't have it. If I don't give it to her, she's gonna start sending pictures out. The worst part is what's happening is because you develop this relationship, they know your family. Now they're contacting your wife. Now they're contacting your husband. Now they're contacting your mother and sending her the picture instead of sending it to you or posting it. They're sending it to all your family. I've had numbers of cases like this where they're sending these messages to their family, but some of them, even the ones that aren't completely new, just the top, they're AIing them to put other features on them that's still humiliating. You know, nobody wants that. Nobody wants their mother to get a picture of them with no shirt on. We can just ask Arthur's mom if she would want that. I don't think so, you know. So this is what they're doing. They're figuring out who your family is. They're using whatever tactic they can to get your money. So if it doesn't seem real, it's probably not real. Be wary, of urgency. You know, if you're lonely and you just want to talk to them, then keep it at that. Just talking. It doesn't need to become romantic, because I promise you, if they've never met you in person, it is very rare that any of these relationships last or are real. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? I can go all night.
There's also the scam, it was posted in, Game in Palm Springs last week about a massage therapist that was requiring a deposit front, and, he's probably another through somewhere else, pulling the strings on Facebook. And so, there's something.
It's the same, so right in the beginning, I talked about that, like the same of like, people coming to your house, say, hey, I'll remodel your house for 80 grand, but I need 50 grand up front. I've never remodeled my house, but that just doesn't sound right. You know, it doesn't sound that right. Maybe buy a part. I had a garbage disposal piece that I needed fixed yesterday. And he's like, hey, this is how much it is. Send me the receipt. Boom, I gave him the cash. You know, it's not, but I've never like, hey, I need to get this fixed, but I can't go buy it until you pay me. You know, that it is a huge thing. So the same thing with massages. I've left a deposit for a massage, but I called a business in Palm Desert and I was like, hey, I want to reserve a spot. Okay, it's a $20 deposit. It's never going to be a huge amount because they're not trying to scam you. If they're trying to scam you, it's a huge amount. And usually when you leave a deposit, a legitimate business will always tell you, hey, it's either non-refundable or you have to call within 24 hours to cancel it. It's the same with any kind of work. Hey, it's non-refundable, or this amount's non-refundable because I booked my time out for you. But if you have to cancel, call me 24 hours in advance. If you're not doing that, it's most likely a scam. Go ahead.
Another source of scams are advertising on Facebook that is provided, it's on the platform, it's approved, it's authorized by Facebook, and it's there. And I actually purchased a lifetime membership to a social media sharing platform because the price was so good. And I didn't use it, but then a few weeks later, I got a message directly from Facebook asking me if I suspected that this advertiser was a scam. And because Facebook thought it might be a scam, I decided to take their word for it. And I was able to report it to my bank and get that reversed in a way that was lasting. But the moral of the story for me is I'm just not going to click on a link in the Facebook or social media environment to a destination that is going to want my credit card info.
Yeah, those ones are really hard because there are some that are legitimate and there's some that aren't, it's hard. Those ones are a gamble when it's those sponsored advertisements because some of them, I'm not gonna lie, are good advertisements too, we found our dog training that way, and I was questionable at first. We recently sent our dogs to get trained out in Menifee, and it was my fiance found it online through an ad, and it's one of those things where it's like, is this real or not? I text the guy for 3 months prior to sending him any money. And it was just conversation back and forth. The first conversation was, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm interested. And then a month later, got a text, hey, how's it going? Are you interested now? I'm like, oh, this kind of seems like a scam. And then it was like, no, I'm not interested. And then it just kept going back and forth, and did my research, Googled the number. You can find anything on Google. If you found it on a computer, you can find anything on Google. I paid an NGO. I had a case one time and I couldn't find my suspect. I knew a general area she was in, and I knew which wasn't local, and I knew a first and last name. Oh, excuse me. I knew a first name and a phone number of the person she was with. I paid, as a cop, I paid $20 to whitepages.com and put that phone number in, and I found the address and went and arrested my suspect. So you can do anything online and find out all this info. You want safety, there's companies out there that you can pay them. A lot of them are legitimate, and you pay them $100 a year, $200 a year, whatever the fee is now. And what they do is they work, and the same thing with the phone numbers. They will search all the internet platforms, find where your number's at, find where your email's at, find anything that can be like identity information, and they will block it. And that's all they do is they go and they send these legal documents to these companies of, you need to take my client off of your list. They can even block out your address on Google. When you search somebody's address on Google Maps and they have it like blurred out, usually it's because they paid a service. To me, that looks more suspicious than just showing your address, your house. But either way, you can do that. There's a lot of things. What Lieutenant Arza talked about is identity theft. Like you can lock your credit report, to where anytime something's applied, it sends you a message, says, did you approve this, or they'll tell you need to unlock your credit report before this goes through. You can usually.
That is the biggest tip, and we always tell people, is freeze your credit.
That's a free service.
Yeah.
But you have to do it in each of the credit reporting agencies.
You can also, like, most banks have some sort of identity theft protection.
Of which there's three.
Most banks have identity theft protection, and it's a low fee usually. And it's just the bank monitoring your credit report and saying, hey, this is abnormal, let me contact them, or let me send them a message, If you get an email from your bank in that sense, you can click. So when your email comes in, you have your from and you have your to, right? Your to comes up as your email, your from. Click your from and see the email, because the one I'm getting right now, it says iCloud or Apple or something. It's telling me that my iCloud I need a payment in my iCloud, or else they're going to delete it. but when I click it, it's like xyzelementalp.com. Well, that's not an iCloud email. I know that for a fact, you know? So it's not, just check the emails that they're coming from to see if they're real. And then lastly, call the company. Same thing as as a card. If you get something, like for instance, I have Verizon, you get an email from Verizon, I'm like, dang, man, this kind of looks really good. Call Verizon. Go to the app, call, or go to into a store, verify before you give any info.
And we got the toll roads, text. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Another scam is that people, because I work in media and I've gotten lots of offers to appear as a guest on the podcast and I'm gonna pay you $2,000. And I just know that none of that happens, and it is definitely a scam, and it happens a lot. Where people are offering you a lot of money to do something that would seem appropriate for you to do, and it's not.
Facebook, one of the global watchdog groups, reported about 30% of the on Facebook are fake. And Facebook, how do you think they responded to that? They charge the people that have more reports of scams. They charge them more money. So Facebook makes more money. So do you really think Facebook is really going to be attended and making the 30% of their revenue? Then they pay for the volume of work on charge.
So, again, most importantly, if you think it's a scam and you don't know who to call the police. Call police, an officer can come out or come down and ask for me. I have no problem coming out and looking at it and letting you know. At a minimum, you know, if you did get scammed and you're embarrassed to call, file an online report. You know, we have an online reporting system. Most frauds come to me anyways from online, you know, and I'll call you and follow up with whatever it is. Okay. So if you don't want an officer at your house, file it online and go that route. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, thank you so much for your presentation, and, since I moved here 17 years ago, I was getting scammed, and, one of the things I did to, stop that was get sober. The other thing I did was, stop using my debit card, I used my credit card, and I did airline miles or whatever, and then I used my bank balance to, pay that off, because a credit card can refund you, the debit card can't refund you.
Very smart.
Yeah, $3 extra on Sprint or T-Mobile, they have my phone not listed. I still get scammed probably, but.
Yeah, there's little ways that'll help,
Yeah.
you know, but nothing's perfect.
Had my neighbor, steal my checkbook, with a crayon, like $500, and they cashed it. And, with a crayon, and, so now I don't order the check.
Yeah, of course.